In this video, I'll show you the process of removing a screen on an iPhone 7 Plus. There seems to be quite a range in prices for phone screens. This is just a fairly inexpensive one from Amazon. It was $15. It has the replacement screen, some screwdrivers, and the suction cup and the pry tool. It has pretty much everything you need in here, with the exception of the heat gun, to replace the screen. We'll grab the screwdrivers out of the kit. A quick overview of this process is removing these two bottom screws right by the charging port, heating up the phone screen a bit, taking a suction cup and starting to lift the screen off, and then taking a pry tool and sliding it along the seam between the body and the screen and cutting the glue. And you heat it up to loosen the glue up. I'm gonna take a sharp pick and clean out these screws on the bottom here, since a lot of time they might have a little bit of buildup on them, and that's just so whenever you put the screwdriver in, it actually has somewhere to seat and you don't strip it out. Now with that cleaned out, the screwdriver fits right in and the screw's moving out. When I remove the screws, I'm just gonna loosen them and then take them out with pliers. I'm just putting them in this tray that the screen came in. I think it's a nice handy spot to put things where they won't fall out. In the kit, it'll come with a suction cup. Place that right here, right by the charger port. And you'll start to see it move whenever you pull on it a little bit. You can see a little bit of movement between the seam of the body and the screen. It won't move much, and this is where we're gonna start to heat it up and loosen the glue. It does come in the kit with this plastic tool that you use to get in there and start to scrape the glue out. I have this spare metal scraper that I've used on other phones. It came in another kit. And I like this a little bit better, at least in this situation where it's a bit harder, and I'll be able to really pry it in there and pry a little bit more. Now I've got the pry tool in there and we can start to work it. So I'll continue to heat the phone up and really gently work this around the edge, heat it up, pry, and just take the process really slow. Now that we have the screen off, there's two connections that we need to remove. There's this metal panel here, and under there is where the screen plugs in a few places. And there's this panel up here, which connects to the front camera and the front speaker. And we need to remove this metal panel and unplug that as well. Take the screwdriver that fits these screws, which looks like a very small Phillips, and remove these screws. There we go, and the top cover. This kit that we have doesn't have a pry tool. This is one I got in another kit from doing it before. I think they just want you to use this pry tool, I imagine, to disconnect the connections. I like using one of these tools as a plastic tip on both ends. This one right here is a little pry bar, and you can use this to disconnect the terminals. All you need to do is pry up on this. It's loose there. Do the same thing right there, and that's disconnected. And we'll disconnect the top terminal. Now the screen is completely disattached, and that's how you remove the screen.